Hey there, cinephiles, and thanks for watching this upcoming video. Since its inception in 1977, Nickelodeon has been a staple for the American household, rising in popularity in the 1990s with some of the most beloved shows for a generation. This led to the success in theme parks, magazines, and eventually movies. A specific studio was set up with the plan of releasing movies for the kids who loved their brand. However, in recent years, what started as a production facility meant to target the same audience who watched the TV channel began to slow down releases more and more. Today, I have to ask, what happened to Nickelodeon movies? In 1991, Nickelodeon, which started out as Pinwheel, a channel that ran programming from outside producers, decided to produce their own animated shows for the first time, debuting Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy, which all became some of the most popular series at the time. So in 1993, Nickelodeon struck a deal with 20th Century Fox to create new feature-length material for theaters, while also bringing up the idea of movies based on the three Nicktoons. However, in 1994, Viacom, who owned Nickelodeon, purchased Paramount Pictures, effectively ending the deal at 20th Century Fox. In the end, the Ren and Stimpy movie never got past development, and Doug would be purchased by Disney Studios, which released their own version of the show as well as a theatrical movie. Rugrats, on the other hand, would begin development soon. In the meantime, the first Nickelodeon movie, Harriet the Spy, would start production on October 11, 1995, and be released on July 10, 1996. Despite the mixed reviews, the film would end up making back double its budget. A year later, the cult classic Good Burger was released, the first Nick movie to be based on one of their TV shows, a segment from All That starring Kenan and Kel titled Good Burger. It made about the same money as Harriet the Spy, despite even worse reviews, and as of today, it has a lasting fan base. Their biggest triumph came with the long-planned Rugrats movie released in 1998. It got strong reviews and managed to make $140 million, being the first non-Disney movie to gross over $100 million at the box office. It helped to strengthen the Rugrats brand, improved the power that Nickelodeon had in the film industry. Nickelodeon movies continued to prove that power when they released Snow Day, a relatively forgotten 2000 movie that managed to make $62 million on a $13 million budget despite bad reviews, and they had an even bigger success with the first sequel they did, Rugrats in Paris, which made $103 million and got very positive reviews. The studio was a powerhouse, releasing Jimmy Neutron in 2001, hitting on the computer animation craze. It was based on a bunch of shorts from 1998 and became a huge hit with rave reviews, managing to be the first Nick movie nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. This became a big franchise, as the idea, initially pitched as a TV series, was instead given a feature-length movie in order to prepare the animated resources for an animated show. It was a home run for the company. Though they had a couple minor successes, like Clock Stoppers, a movie I still think to this day looks like an awesome concept, and I need to actually watch that already. The proof was that Nick Movies was able to make money no matter the reviews. However, in 2002, their first failure, Hey Arnold the Movie, was released. Like the soon-to-be released Wild Thornberrys movie and Rugrats Go Wild, it was based on a Nick TV show. Initially, Craig Bartlett was given the chance to make two feature-length Hey Arnold movies, Arnold Saves the Neighborhood, and a series finale in the form of Hey Arnold the Jungle Movie. While Arnold Saves the Neighborhood would later be developed as a TV movie, Paramount decided to release it theatrically, even though the Jungle Movie was the more exciting project. Retitled Hey Arnold the Movie, it got negative reviews, a weak box office, and it put a cancellation on the Jungle Movie, even though the first movie released was never meant to be the big bet. The Jungle Movie would be released 15 years later, garnering positive reviews, but only being shown on television. This scenario is what I consider to be Nickelodeon's dumbest decision ever. Also, a quick tangent, but For the strangest reason, every movie released before 2004 by Nickelodeon Movies has never seen a Blu-ray release. However, in 2004, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie was released, based on Nick's biggest franchise ever. The studio was begging for a movie for years, until the late Steven Hillenburger finally gave in, hoping to make the movie a series finale for the popular show. Though this didn't pan out, the movie was a giant success, making $140 million, their biggest gross yet. And yes, it is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you're doing. At this point, Nick Movies went mad with ideas, purchasing the film rights to the Rising Series of Unfortunate Events book series. They made a movie based on the first three, which became their biggest success, but due to the high production costs, it wasn't successful enough to immediately push out a sequel. It went through many directors, including Terry Gilliam, Barry Sonnenfeld, and Roman the Pervert Polanski, eventually being directed by Brad Silberling. And if you ask me, I still think this is one of the best movies Nickelodeon has released, and one of the most underrated movies of the 2000s. They would do a remake of Yours, Mine, and Ours, Nacho Libre, Barnyard, more book adaptations like Charlotte's Web and the Spiderwick Chronicles, and even gave a limited release to the documentary Mad Hot Ballroom, which also made about 10 times its small budget back. Though they were all successes, problems were coming in different ways. They did Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, something I still have never seen but always find funny from the title, and also that it managed to get a PG-13 rating. Hotel for Dogs, which I still think is the stupidest sounding title, and Imagine That, which pretty much put the final nail in Eddie Murphy's career. Imagine that. It was also the first major failure for the studio, but that was only a pre-show for what was to come. During this time, besides SpongeBob, Nickelodeon had been producing what's considered to be one of the greatest television shows of all time, Avatar: The Last Airbender. They planned to do a big budget live action flick, but their only problem was they decided to give all the creative power to M. Night Shyamalan, hot off the success of The Happening. Much has been said about this adaptation, but basically it's considered to be one of the worst movies of all time. While it managed to make $300 million worldwide, it just couldn't make back the cost of producing and marketing it. It was plagued with race issues, writing issues, and a huge distaste from audiences, especially fans of the series. This became the low point for the studio, but it didn't kill it entirely. They would help to release 2 animated movies in 2011, Rango and the Adventures of Tintin, which won an Oscar and Golden Globe respectively for Best Animated Feature, a huge success. And don't forget about Fun Size. It failed with critics and audiences, but it's like the only Halloween movie out there that doesn't rely on horror, so it kinda has a soft spot with me. Their output would begin to decrease in the years to come. The live-action reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was released and became a giant success, despite the initial controversy due to Michael Bay's involvement and wanting to make the Turtles aliens? Yeah. Remember that, guys? It got pretty bad reviews, which must have put a bad taste in people's mouths, since the sequel, which is far superior and gave so much of what the fans were begging for years, somehow that managed to be a failure. Then they made the long-awaited SpongeBob sequel, which came out to rave reviews and winning box office numbers. But at this point, the studio was releasing only a movie a year. Then came Monster Trucks. Yeah, a movie from Ice Age director Chris Wedge that had multiple issues and multiple release dates. Nick Movies had nothing to do with this flick, but it got bad reviews and lost Paramount $120 million. From promotion reasons, Paramount just slapped the logo over the movie, hoping it would help with the numbers. It did not help, and since January 13th, 2017, there hasn't been another Nick movie. And I can't help but feel that a lot of the projects in the latter half of the Nickelodeon Movies timeline had been movies that were simply slapping the logo on for promotion reasons. So what happened? Well, technically nothing. Nickelodeon Movies has always been a strange production company, which helps to create movies based on their shows or targeted at their audiences, but once in a while it'll do something different in hopes of starting a brand, to expand expand upon a book series, to release something groundbreaking, or to even do a documentary. It has the weirdest array of titles, but many of them are worth watching, either because they're good or have a charm to them that could only be emulated during that time period. And if you watch anything from the studio, you'll always get a unique opening logo, a staple of the company. Though their production output has gradually slowed to the point where the studio was only releasing movies based on their established franchises, unless they were forced to put their name on it, in 2019, they're coming back in full force with Wonder Park, which is being produced by Paramount Animation, and the live-action Dora the Explorer movie, so perhaps these will all be successful, and we'll begin to see more original animated movies again, plus more continuations, like that third SpongeBob movie. The really interesting thing about Nickelodeon movies is that they never had a distinct style or some copy and paste nature to their work. They always tried something different, and they resisted doing multiple sequels. And who knows, maybe the next couple of movies will be great. But as for that Rugrats live-action CGI hybrid, well, maybe it's best if the babies stay in the crib. Thanks for watching, and see you later, cinephiles. Thank you for watching the video. A special thanks to Movie Johnson, Ryan, and Lucas for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd like to be like them and get exclusive access to content and blogs, and even request reviews monthly, please click on the Patreon link, and thanks for your support.